The battle of the Davids, David Benavidez versus David Morell is going down, and this is going to be a interesting fight. Both guys with very similar attributes, not just the same name, but both guys 27 and 28 years old, undefeated, both just moved up to the light heavyweight division, and now they're going to be meeting in the ring. 11-0 David Morell fights the 29-0 David Benavidez, and today we're going to be answering the question, how good actually is David Morell?
Morell has a very good amateur pedigree, very athletic and a talented fighter, but hasn't fought the elite of the elite yet, becoming a pro. Only 11-0, so he's bound to get more experience and fight higher competition, especially David Benavidez being that first step. So if he's able to beat a guy like David Benavidez, that really tells us where he's at and could be one of the best in boxing coming up, as he's still a young guy.
Yeah, you gotta respect that he's taking on this big of a challenge so early on into his career, only 11 fights deep, and you don't see this very often. We kind of recently saw it with Israel Madrimov fighting Terrence Crawford. He's like 10-0, so a big challenge for David Morell and a huge step up compared to his opposition as of late. But David Benavidez has kind of been getting questioned as to his light heavyweight run. Is he looking the same? He had a good performance in my opinion against Alexander Gvozdyk, but a lot of people did criticize that and say he didn't look too great against a guy who was a little bit older. Now he's fighting someone who's the same age, the same size as him. We know David Benavidez is a big guy at super middleweight. He was bigger than most guys. Boo Boo, Caleb Plant, and he was just never able to get that Canelo fight, which is probably one of the main reasons he's moving up to the light heavyweight division. But David Morell does actually have a 4-inch reach advantage, a 78.5-inch reach compared to David Benavidez's 74.5. And when it comes to his skills, it's not like he's missing in that department either. He has a great jab, great footwork, but we know the pressure of David Benavidez, how he just comes forward with the volume. It's definitely not going to be an easy night fighting David Benavidez, but if there is a guy who could pull it off, David Morell hasn't necessarily been proven at the highest of levels, but he's shown that he has the talent already.
And the odds for this fight is pretty much even, as both guys are coming up. A lot of people think that Morell is going to be a very hard test for David Benavidez, as they've been waiting for Benavidez to fight someone more his size kinda. And as well with Morell, how he has such good footwork, is able to keep that high guard at all times, but he is also susceptible to some of the counters that David Benavidez is so good at, in which he's able to catch and then throw back. So it's a very good fight. Both guys very talented, big up and comers, and it's going to be a great fight.
Yeah, this is, regardless of the outcome of this fight, could definitely be a rivalry that we see for years. Both guys are really young into their careers, and especially Morell, only 27 years old, 11-0, barely getting started as a pro as of right now. And like you said, the combinations that Morell has is going to be interesting to see how he does against Benavidez, because we've seen him kind of be a little bit of a slower starter, at least early on into fights, but the pace that he keeps and how he's steadily just the same throughout the fight, how he was able to overwhelm guys like Caleb Plant the deeper that fight went in, and to just drown his opponents. We know that he's no joke and he's always going to be a tough fight, so we're really going to see in this fight how good David Morell actually is. This is his first big real step up in competition, but a lot of people have been getting behind him and saying that he has what it takes, and we're gonna see that.
And when it comes to a prospect who's only 27 like Morell and 11-0, typically in boxing, these guys aren't going to be fighting hard competition yet, and typically just gradually build up as they go, working on their skills as a pro, especially transitioning from being an amateur. And for Morell to take this big challenge so early on is very impressive for him, and if he's able to win this is going to raise his stock so massively. Of course, many people view both guys as kind of a boogeyman, as well. David Benavidez, many people have been calling Canelo to fight him, so it's just an amazing clash. Both of these guys, young guys looking to make their way.
Yeah, I mean, someone's O has got to go, and you got to respect Morell for not trying to pad his record even when he is so early into his pro career. He's getting straight into the deep end. But another interesting aspect is that he is a southpaw, and we've seen kind of David Benavidez, I don't know how many southpaws he's fought. I remember him fighting Boo Boo Andrade, and he was able to nullify his game pretty early on. I think that was like a 5th round stoppage against Boo Boo. But Boo Boo had a little bit of success against Benavidez, landing that straight left, getting his foot on the outside out of that southpaw stance, and that's David Morell's signature punch, that straight left hand, either to the body, to the head.
Some people are saying what's going to make the big difference maker in this fight is that Benavidez has faced the tougher competition by far, and especially recently upping the competition gradually, but Morell is kind of just entering into the scene, doesn't have that experience against some of the high level guys. We've seen him in some of his fights get caught a little bit. Of course, he's been able to dominate all those opponents, as a lot of tune-up fights and just not the same competition, which is a big question mark in this. Is Morell going to be able to come up against David Benavidez and still look as good as he has in his other fights?
I do think Morell is probably the more athletic guy between the two, but it's how he's going to be able to deal with the pace and the pressure. If David Benavidez is going to impose himself as he's done to all his other opponents, David Morell might have to come through the fire here, but he is a scary man himself. He's dangerous against anyone. So we're going to see if he has what it takes. This is the battle of the Davids. Who do you guys think is going to win? Personally, I got David in this one, but let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. Who do you guys got, David Benavidez or David Morell, going into this fight? And how good actually is David Morell? But if you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for more videos from Punch Talk.